Distractions to the athletes. This week, the field of play is still that tiled area, and that tiled area is for the athletes and our athletes only. Please do not enter the field of play for any reason. As a reminder, BoltTV.com is the exclusive live streaming home of the PWBA Tour. Please do not live stream from your personal devices. All right, bowling fans, pick out your favorite athlete this afternoon. Cheer her on. Ladies, arrows are up. You have a full set of pins, except for lane 24 needs a full set of pins. And 25. You guys are almost ready to go. All right, how about a great send-up for all of our athletes on their quest to royalty as the 2019 USBC Queens. Good luck, ladies.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. North Rock Lanes. Continued coverage of the 2019 USBC Queens. Emil Williams Jr., Summer Jasmine here with you. Summer back in the booth to watch some Contenders matches. We are on the fresh. And the matches that we see here, of course, are those who lost their first round matches are here now bowling against each other. And now we have reached the point where players will be eliminated from the tournament. It's never a good thing, but it is what it is. It's part of it.
Yeah, as you don't want to get in that losers or the contenders bracket that quick. Long road ahead. These ladies bowled this morning. 9 a.m. Is that right?
Yeah, 9 a.m. Some then bowled at 11:30. Or some also bowled, I should say.
Some bowled at 11:30.
At 11:30, the bracket was separated, of course, left and right. The left side of the bracket bowled first at 9 a.m. The right side of the bracket bowled their first round matches at 11:30 a.m. Our next round then featured all winners, with the Contenders set for 4 p.m., which is where we are now. We'll have one more round of competition tonight. It'll be approximately 20 minutes after the conclusion of this round. And it will be those who have won
one match
versus the winners of these respective contenders matches here. Be sure to follow all of the action, not only on Bowl TV. Of course, we've got 8 channels for you. We've got live scoring. And certainly, please have your bracket up, which can be found on bowl.com/Queens. Caroline Lagrange and Ali Tatro on 27 and 28. Shayna Ung taking on Debbie Ayers. And for Debbie, match play in both Queens events. She actually made the stepladder finals at the Senior Queens this year in March, and now here in match play of the Queens event. It's a pretty good year in that regard for Debbie.
Yes, considering what she had shoulder surgery a few years back, I think. I know she was dealing with an injury. I crossed with her a couple times, and I know she was throwing like a 12-pound ball just to kind of get like rehab, and looks like she's made a full recovery. So Senior Queens made it to the step ladder, and now she's here at the regular Queens event, and made the top 64 right now in the contenders bracket. She has to win to stay alive.
Yeah, this is win or go home at this point where we are right now. We'll get into our winners who have advanced to competition, which would be tomorrow morning, Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central. We'll tell you who those good players are here in just a second. After you watch Tatro, third frame. Nice shot there from Tatro. Ali went to Wichita State. Nice block to get into the number, including a very nice 290 in game 5 of her block yesterday in qualifying.
Flat 10 for Debbie Ayers in lane 29.
Angie Ramirez bowling against Deandra Asbeatty on 31 and 32. Last time we saw Angie, she was bowling against Cindy Jane. But Angie never really could find the right ball reaction. And has thrown a good shot early in her match against Asbeatty. Of course, I'm not sure what would have worked either way versus Cindy Jane. She was in the books today at 783 and 781 for her 2 matches.
She came to play today. Well, last 2 days. Because I know she was, what, -1 yesterday going into her 3rd round of competition. And she's just like, I'm just going to strike a lot.
Yeah, I think she decided that enough was enough. Yeah, -1 outside the number. Did what she had to do in qualifying again. Needed a double late, got it. And I'm sure new game plan. Whatever bowling ball she was throwing today, along with her her physical abilities to begin with, was dominant. There's Lagrange, also of Wichita State, so a matchup of Shocker alums here in North Rock, or at North Rock Lanes in Wichita, Kansas. Shayna Ung has begun with the front 4. Shayna needed a strike to tie in her first round match versus Jen Russo. And she got 8. So Russo ended up advancing 604 to 602. Some of our other Contenders matches, we read them off earlier, but we'll do it one more time. Liz Johnson versus Tanya Raumemper. Katie Ann Sopp-Schroeder versus Rebecca Mark. Nice shot there from Tatro. Jen Higgins versus Haley Richard. Brittany Brown versus Estefania Cobo. Lauren Pate versus Caitlin Johnson. Kelly Kulik versus Shannon O'Keefe. Stephanie Schwartz will take on Heather DeRico. Jasmine Mason versus Jordan Richard. Lilia Robles versus Leanne Holstenberg. Ali Tatro, of course, versus Caroline Lagrange right here. Debbie Ayers and Shayna Ung. Brianna Cote and Missy Park. Talked about Angie Ramirez and Deandra Asbeatty. Anita Arnett taking on Shannon Sellens. And I learned from talking to Shannon yesterday that she and Anita were freshmen at Wichita State together, and now they are bowling here against one another at the Queens. Liliana Lomelli and Juliana Franco, Carrie Smith, and Rebecca Whiting. Contenders matches that can be found on Bowl TV.
How many Shocker alumni bowled this week? Do you know?
I didn't count like I did.
Like the Lincoln stop. I know there was a bunch of.
But it's only going to take
Huskers.
me a few seconds.
Okay.
Last week we had 17.
Okay.
Oh, nicely done from Tatro. The old 2-4-8-10. I've seen that made 4 times this week.
I saw 3 of them.
3 of them on this pair.
Oh, well, I know 3 of them were made by my crossing partner this week, Shannon Grimm.
That's who I'm referring to.
She made 3 of them, and then she shot 290, I think, game 4 yesterday? Probably
Yes, she
right
did.
here.
Yep.
29 and 30? Or it might have been the game before, I don't remember.
All right, Lagrange will take that as well. 4 in a row for Caroline. The 2-time Cubica AMF World Cup champion. Summer on the fresh. Again, lanes re-oiled and redressed. So are you expecting, I'm imagining we should see similar lane play, but for players who may have struggled or got out the gates a little slower than they would have liked, which may find them or could be a reason why they're here bowling a Contenders match. Are you expecting really game plans to change in a drastic sense, you think?
Kind of, maybe. I mean, you always come in with an open mind just because each time the pattern gets down or gets laid down, it gets a little flatter, maybe it gets a little tighter down lane. But they definitely get flatter and they definitely get trickier. I know the topography here plays a big role in that. And then, of course, it's a different strategy now. You get 3 games on one pair. You don't move around. So typically you'd want to stay as far right as you can in practice or in warm-up and kind of like get a spot to open up just with all the shots that are there, and then you can bump in left, and then you'll have a little wiggle room, or not wiggle room, but a little open spot to kind of throw it to the right.
Shayna Ung again, 4-bagger early. Spare now looking for a double.
She's playing right. In the area I think she would play. But Debbie Ayers is actually a little left of her. She's got a softer ball speed, so she needs a little bit. She needs the oil to help get her ball through the front part of the lane. Because if Debbie tried to play where Shayna is playing right now, her ball would read too soon, and she'd either go high on the head pin or she'd go Brooklyn. So on our feature pairs, Debbie Ayers is the only one kind of giving it away to the pocket, and everyone else is going a little straighter. I think Shayna's going to try to stay as far right for right now. And then if she sees something a little different, she might transition in. But I think she's still got to stay at least 10 is probably the farthest left she should probably go. That's my opinion. Of course, I'm sitting here, not bowling.
Okay. It's okay. Opinions are good, as long as they're yours.
There's some strings going on. I know off camera, a couple pairs down. If you're watching lanes 23 and 24, Jasmine Mason's, she has an open the first frame, but she has a 6-bagger.
Yeah, I feel that strikes for, I won't say the majority of players, certainly, because we did see our fair share of struggles for a good amount, but there's been some strikes. There are a few available to be had. That's a couple of shots we've seen from Ramirez today. Trying to figure it out over on 31 and 32. Deandra Asbady lost a close first round match to Erin McCarthy. And Dee said she just wasn't feeling quite right, couldn't get comfortable kind of quickly, and she was disappointed, but mainly disappointed because her opponent wasn't shooting lights out. So that's
right.
Kind of one of those matches where
it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, when you see your opponent not really striking, and you're kind of like you're both grinding away, it's just you gotta just stay clean, and one of you is gonna catch a double. That's
of course this year on the PWBA tour, the regional tour is back. So if you have any interest or know anyone who is interested, Bowl TV fans, be sure to let them know that there are some regional opportunities to kind of test their skills and help with their development as a player. We've got a few regionals left on the schedule. We've already had 2, one in Cleveland and one in Lincoln. The next is June 2nd in Sonoma County. Well, be sure to visit PWBA.com and or PWBA.com/regionals for all of your information and certainly to register.
good bounce back shot for Caroline.
Lagrange and Tatro look like to be playing in a very similar area. Would you say the same?
Yeah, they're pretty close to each other. Maybe Caroline's a little farther right. I think she's right of 5, and Allie's kind of just a little more, kind of a little more left, straighter. I just know that lane 28 still has that hang spot.
Yeah, last time we talked, which was round number 1, we had the 9 a.m. matches, and
yeah,
that was a consistent story. That one was left off the hands of Allie Tatro, formerly Allie iJams. The newlyweds probably still got the just married sign on the car. Husband Kevin is behind us watching.
I think he has his ball rep hat on today.
To our left, Leanne Holstenberg and Lilia Robles. A solid matchup on 25 and 26. Spare there for Tatro. Looks like Jasmine Mason's string ended in the 9th frame. I believe she's got a 9-pin to deal with. Shayna Ung looking pretty tough here on 29 and 30.
Really good shot for Shayna.
How would you describe Shayna's ball roll?
I think it's just super heavy roll, end over end, and it just goes forward. She uses her ball, just ball speed to get it through the front part of the lane, and just her hand is so good. Just she catches it. That's a lot of rev rate. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to match your speed and rev rate, but that's pretty close. I wish I just had, like, you know, extra couple. I would take the extra rev rate, but I would also take the ball speed.
There you see a good picture of what Summer was describing, where Debbie is trying to use a little of that oil so she can get the ball to go a little bit left to right with her slow ball speed, or slower ball speed, in comparison to Shayna Ung.
Ali Tatro staying clean.
Jordan Richard and Jasmine Mason. Again, that's an excellent matchup of two former All-Americans in a collegiate competition. Of course, Richard is the 2018 Rookie of the Year. Already has one title this season. It's her second overall of her young career.
Sometimes that's a downfall of having slower ball speed. You just don't get that extra pin action. It was a pretty good shot for Debbie, and that 5-pin just kind of laid down. Wow. 2-4-18 for Lagrange. I thought that was a really good shot off her hand. Just looked like it went an extra couple feet down the lane.
Of course, Shannon O'Keefe is taking on Kelly Kulick. That was going to be potentially a second round matchup in the winners bracket. But both players, of course, lost their first round matches. And now we see a quarterfinal, semifinal, TV type matchup in a contenders bracket first round, so to speak, or second round, I should say. This is essentially the first round of the full contenders matches.
Yes. And just take a quick glance at the live scoring. Shannon O'Keefe is in control of that match. She has 269 left on the board. Kelly Kulick shot 182.
We open in the 10th frame for Lagrange. 7 strikes, but unfortunately a couple of splits. Or 3 splits.
Three splits, yeah. I think they were all like 2-4-10, 2-4-8-10s. Ali Tatro can take the lead if she strikes, gets a double and good count. We'll have the lead going into game 2. It's a good shot. That one she kind of, I guess, gave it away a little bit because the other shots on that lane, she kind of went up the lane.
Did you hear that?
Oh, Leanne was getting a call, making a call to the counter. Got that one right. 2-4-10 lead for Tatro. Shayna Ung with a 247 first game. Got a 59 pin lead over Debbie Ayers. Got a close match between Tatro and Lagrange. 8-pin difference.
And the game 2. 247 for Shayna Ung. Debbie shoots a 188. Looks like she may have made a ball change. Now to begin this match, Emil Williams Jr. with Summer Jasmine. First major of the season. USBC Queens, always one of the more difficult tournaments to win. The list of those who have won it multiple times is only at 10. Early 245. It made this show in 2013. Did Shayna. And in 2017. And I feel like we talked about this just a touch earlier or yesterday.
Yeah, this morning. I think she finished
6th.
6th, yeah.
That was the year that Marissa Thomas, the non-member from Louisville, Kentucky, I believe it was a 310. It's either 310 or a 36910. 310 to advance to TV. Had to make it.
I remember watching that now, yeah. It's definitely not a spare I'd want to shoot at to make a show.
I don't know if there's any spare you really want to shoot at.
Well, that's just one that.
What spare would you want to shoot at?
What I want to shoot at?
They gave you a choice of spare to shoot to make a TV show.
To be honest, probably a 10-pin.
Okay. I think that's good confidence. There's probably a lot of people that wouldn't want to see a 10-pin.
Oh, well, let's put it this way. To make, like, my first year on tour, to make the top 16 cut, I had to make a bucket. And I didn't want to hook at it because it was flat and short. Like, I think it was 35 feet. And, like, 1-to-1. Like, completely flat. And I was like, I'm not hooking at it. So I threw my spare ball at it, and I ended up making the cut. I was the number. And then that same year, I bowled against Liz Johnson. And, like, in the match play, or the round robin, I had to, if I strike in the 10th frame, I would win a match. I left a 3-6-10. So if I make it, I have to strike the tie. So I made a 3-6-10 and strike. So that was my first tie on the PWBA was with Liz Johnson.
Well, it sounds like you would prefer multi-pin combinations.
No. No. I'd rather not some days.
I mean, those are two of arguably the toughest spares in general, and then certainly under pressure in any type of situation like that, a bucket.
Yes.
3-6-10, those are tough.
Yeah, they're tough. I mean, I think it was one of those ones I was just in the moment. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make it. A little advice, if you're going to shoot a spare, never say don't chop it, because last thing you're going to think about is chopping it. So always try to stay positive when you shoot spares. Just a little tip for anyone out there listening.
Early double for Tatro.
Oh, that's a good shot for Debbie Ayers.
Debbie's just going to have to find a way to kick that 10 out. We see a few players out leaving wrap 10s. Let's go over our winners. Those who have advanced to, again, tomorrow's fresh at 9 a.m. Brandy Branca, the 64th seed, has won 2 matches. And she is on to tomorrow to face Dasha Kovalova.
I like that match a lot. I mean, Brandy put up big number against Laura Plazas, and she was down in that match early, I think. I know Laura shot 268 the first game, and then Brandy made a move, shot 720.
721.
721. Then Dasha got she double 9 to shut out Diana. I mean, those are clutch.
Let's see. Daphne Tan will face Liz Culkin. And Liz, of course, with a lot of confidence in regards to majors after her U.S. Women's Open win in 2018. But Daphne Tan, this is the opportunity. Great shot there for Ayers. I think she's got the right ball in her hand, something that will just maintain enough energy for her to be able to carry or increase her carry percentage. But this could be that event for Daphne Tan to.
Yes, I agree.
Add her name, so to speak, to those who know about Team Singapore. There's a few names that always kind of come to mind. And this week, though, in the last 2 weeks, really.
Daphne's been on a tear.
Daphne has had confidence is very high at this moment.
Yes. And I think this pattern kind of plays to her A game, where she kind of keep it in front of her, keep her angle straighter. And all she has to do is just execute, just repeat shots. I really like her look on the fresh. I mean, I crossed with Liz a couple times this week. I think I might have crossed with her both times on the burn, so I don't know what her looks like on the fresh. But she's pretty much steady.
Well, Lagrange is continuing throwing some good shots here, but this looks to be in a bit of a zone to where
she might be a little trapped. Flat 10. I don't remember what she left the first frame. Then she went a washout on lane 28, which I still think is a little tighter. I think the problem is her break point might be a little too far right, because Allie's kind of left of her. I think it just kind of pushed the oil to the right. Oh, good shot for Shayna. So, I mean, she's either going to have to change her angle or she's going to have to change balls.
Oh, there's winner bracket matches to look forward to tomorrow. Giselle Poss and Sherry Tan. Josie Barnes will take on Verity Crawley. I like that matchup a lot.
I do too. I think that could go either way. I really like Josie's look on the fresh.
Esther Chia and Almi Guerra.
I like that matchup too.
We'll do battle. And then speaking of battle, well, Malaysia got a tough draw.
That's the Malaysian.
That's a tough one. So and we've got Sin Lee Jane versus Shaolin Zulkifli. And the winner of that match could face Esther Chia in the next round.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah. Wow, that's a Malaysian bracket right there. And Shaolin and Lee Jane have great looks on fresh.
Well, Shaolin shot 300.
Yes, and then Jane shot 783 on the fresh.
Lee Jane missed like twice. Danielle McEwen will take on Clara Guerrero. And Stephanie Johnson and Shannon Puhowski.
Team USA battle.
So those are winners matches that will take place tomorrow at 9 a.m.
And they'll be on the fresh, so.
Heather DeRico has started with the front five. Over on 21 and 22.
She shot 166 the first game. Stephanie Schwartz shot 181 the first game, so. Oh.
Tatro fouled. So she'll have ball number 2 here in the second. You need to win 5 matches if you're to remain undefeated and earn a spot onto the TV finals. 5 matches would get you to the 1-2 match for seeding if you remain in the winner's bracket. For those bowling right now,
I think it's 8.
Yep. 8 matches from this point where we are now for the first Contenders match. 8 including this one. And that would get you to the final 4 Contenders match. So 4 players for 3 spots. So for someone, it could be a long road ahead. We know it's going to happen. It generally does. You get into a groove, start to feel good about yourself, winning some matches. Maybe get a break or 2 along the way. Maybe a ball change there.
Ball change. I think she was throwing a web tour, but I'm not 100% sure, but I know she just changed to a Triton Elite. I'm pretty sure it was a web tour she was throwing at the beginning. Had a conversation with her the other night. I was asking her what she threw. Triton Elite, web tour. There was one more, but I can't remember which one it was. Because I saw her, I believe, on the her burn day, and she was on 43 and 44 on the end pair, and she was playing right of 5 and had a great look. And there was one shot, it just kind of got a little lazy. And then she changed balls. She changed to Robin Pearl, a little cleaner than the Triton Elite, and just crushed the pocket. And I was like, oh, good ball change.
Want to say hello to everyone who is watching. And we dropped a hello in the chat. Hope everyone is doing well today.
The 5-pin scares me on live stream. But now there's so many channels that it's like, oh, somebody's watching. Doesn't matter what lane I hit.
You can't get away from it.
No.
So here's a real question.
Okay.
As Debbie Ayers is working
double.
herself back into this match here, how many, beverages must she buy? I mean, we had 8 channels this week, so do you have to multiply by,
I'd rather
by
not,
8?
I'd rather not know, to be honest, but whew.
And of course, we're talking about fountain drinks. All right, so Debbie can strike here. She's clearly got a little confidence, seeing the ball get through the pins.
It looks like she balled up, something a little stronger, picks up a little sooner, which makes sense because we are on the fire conditioner. From past experience, I always felt like you had to throw something cleaner to get it through the front, but then you get the carry down, then you ball back up. Then you get tricked into thinking you should throw something that gets down the lane a little cleaner. That way, the bigger pieces won't burn up or the stronger ones won't burn up. But
And this is with this particular condition, with fire?
yeah, with fire. There's a lot of 9 pins.
Yeah, they've been prominent today, or this week, really.
Yeah.
And we did see a few earlier in some earlier rounds as Tatro up now 6th frame. What is a pretty close match.
Looks like she got it. A couple boards left with target. I mean, it didn't look too bad of a shot, but pays a penalty, 410. That's just one of those ones you kind of hope you just leave the 4-pin.
Well, Allie will go for this here, at least get the count.
That's close. Oof.
Might be open for Tatro. I just saw Caitlin Johnson down there striking on the low end of the building. We'll give a look at live scoring, see what's going on.
No, she's 267 max. The second game.
It's very interesting how the bracket always works out because Lauren Pate, for example, has bowled players who either are still in college or just completed, just like her. She bowled Giselle Poss earlier. Now she's bowling Caitlin Johnson, who will be a senior this coming season for Weber International.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought she graduated already. She's just a baby then. But she's what, made 2 cuts at
Caitlin
majors?
Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah.
US Open and here at Queens.
Yes.
US Open 2017.
2017. Leanne trying to figure something out here as well. Again, taking on Lilia Robles, who's had a couple of splits this game. And no love on the 8 for Debbie, but good news for Debbie. She's found something that she can work with. Still, you always got to keep your eye open. Right? You're always reading ball reaction because it can change, especially in this setting, so quickly.
Yes, and also when you're bowling, you can watch your opponent, especially when you get to this point. All of them are great shot makers, and if you see something like, for example, if Shayna got up and left a 4-pin and you thought you think that she threw it pretty good. Oh my gosh, I sound terrible right now. That sounded weird, but like I said, if you watched the bowlers a lot, you can tell when they throw it good. And if you saw something to where, like that shot, that was a little left. But if your ball did that and you thought you threw it good, then you probably should move. You got to think ahead. Well, that's left. There's no hold on this pattern, that's for sure. In the track area.
Because it's flat.
It's flat, yeah. The pattern's flat, and the track area here is so defined. I was checking out some of the topography report, which we talked about earlier, and you can see where some lanes are just tricky because I know personally I don't see like the first part of the lane when I'm bowling. That's why there's extra set of eyes behind you, someone like one of your friends watching you or a ball rep, and they just tell you, and your ball is just reading early, it's burning up. But sometimes as a bowler, you don't see it. And for one thing, it could be the topography of the lane.
Yeah, I was going to ask Wendy, what do you mean when you say you don't see the front part of the lane?
By the time I throw the ball or release the ball and I catch it down lane, it's already kind of in between the arrows and the markers and the tracers. So I kind of catch it a little farther. By the time I get my eyes set on the ball, I kind of I'll miss the first 20 feet for sure. So, for example, if the fronts are really kind of burnt up, I won't see. If my ball doesn't clear it, then I'll feel like the lane's a little tighter and maybe my ball kind of wiggled down lane. Then I'm gonna think, oh, maybe it's tighter. I'll move left. Then I move left and the ball kind of wiggles again. Then it's telling you maybe the front part's gone. Then that means you either got to change balls, something a little cleaner, or you got to amp up the speed. See, Ali Tatro changed balls.
Yeah, she struck on 28 and gets a break, of course, on 27, and a much-needed double for Tatro, who has the lead now. Shayna Ung will get another 2-4-5. So an open in the ninth, and Debbie's got a little extra life.
Yeah, she can chip away at Shayna's lead. Lagrange with a great shot on lane 28.
Don't forget, Bowl TV viewers, while you are on the platform, be sure to stop by the lab and check out Lou Marquez, our Pro Shop manager at the International Training and Research Center. He shares his technical insight on the game and the inner Pro Shop workings in his new series, Hot Off the Press. So be sure to hang out with my man Lou. And his new series, again, Hot Off the Press. You can find that in the lab on Bowl TV. Bowling lives here. It's a good dude, too, my man Lou. He knows his stuff.
I met Lou at a Detroit stop. I crossed with his wife now, Rebecca.
How about that? Some struggles here for Lagrange in game number 2. And Tatro can really take control. Throw a couple strikes here in the 9th and 10th.
Lagrange covers the 3-6-10. But I think she's in a little bit of trouble. She's coming back to talk to her ball rep, Brian O'Keefe.
How would you go about that 10th frame if you're Lagrange when she gets to it?
I mean, I wouldn't want to give up too many pins.
You would try to get to the pocket first.
I would try to get to the pocket first. If I strike, if I were her, I would. If I strike the first ball, I would try another one in the second, and then if I struck again, I would try a third one, just to have an idea. I mean, she's not gonna. I mean, she's gonna be down a little bit. But one of those shots, so if she strikes the first shot, the next shot might be I might take a look at a different part of the lane, maybe kind of maybe parallel left. Maybe like 1-1-2-2, just something a little closer. I've only seen, like I said, I've only seen Caroline bowl a little bit. I bowled beside her last week in Lincoln, and I've watched her a little bit because I was on a different squad, so I got to see her bowl, and I really like her game. Just
yeah, there's nothing not to like about what Caroline can do and has done certainly in her career, and it's awesome to have her now on the PWBA tour.
yeah, the other night we were watching some old college bowling shows. We watched one of Carolyn, and it was I believe it was 2005.
Yep.
Yeah, does it the same.
She does.
Does it the same. It's great.
Big shot there from Tatro. First one in the 10th frame. Again, she will have the lead here. 217 for Debbie Ayers, and she has worked that deficit down.
From 59 to 27. With one game left, she has a pretty good look. Shayna's look is not the greatest, but Shayna's always one that she can shoot 230 easy. That was a really good shot for Tatro.
A couple of pins blocked the opportunity to clip the 9-pin for it to fall.
That's like the worst feeling when you throw a good shot and you just see that 9-pin standing, looking right at you.
Ball change for Shayna Ung, and uh-oh.
Oh, that was a good shot. Good ball change.
Uh-oh.
Went to something, I think that's an idle pearl, went to something cleaner. I think she was throwing an IQ tour. That's what it looked like. Or maybe a Codex. I think it was a Codex. It's kind of hard to see from here.
182 for Tatro.
Max score for Carolyn is 176. Could still be an even match.
Let's see what else we have on the live scoring, and if my live scoring is correct.
I believe she changed balls. Like, Lagrange changed balls.
Well, she went for it here in this 10th frame. You know, making the change early, as opposed to maybe trying to wait it out for one shot, basically.
Yeah, she changed balls. Went to something cleaner. I just can't tell if it's a Rodman Pearl or a kinetic amethyst. I think it's a Rodman Pearl. I do know she has one of those in her bag.
Liz Johnson, I believe, took a 2-pin advantage into Game 3 versus Tanya Rahman, but that's on the high end. And wow.
I thought that was a pretty good shot.
So this one's going to be close. It's probably going to come down to the 10th frame.
It's going to be within single digits, so it's whoever can catch a couple breaks, stay clean.
Carrie Smith has struggled a little bit here, and having some really good success here. Perhaps not seeing the same look in match play. As Ayers is crossing over. Olsenberg to our left. Finally getting something to just go through the pins the way she is looking for. She can get to 170 here in game number 2. But will still be within striking distance to win her match against Lily Robles. That one is about to go to game number 3. What matches is everyone watching in the chat? We've got some really good contenders matches and a lot of legendary figures bowling right now. We've got the defending champion bowling as well. Tatro, first shot at game 3, gets it right early. And the ultimate price there, 2-8-10 for Allie. Meanwhile, Shayna Ung up on lane 30. Looking to double up early. And no, she gets some love on the 9 pin. Angie Ramirez will have an advantage over Deandra Asbady heading into game number 3.
This looks like Angie's more comfortable this match than she was this morning.
35 pins, the difference in that one. Hung for 3 in a row. Yes.
It's like her signature step out.
It is. It's and going back to our conversation about ball roll, just to be able to get that much.
Get your hand. She gets her hand underneath of it, and is still able to just rev on it.
It's so interesting. I'm just thinking in my head like what my hand would do if I tried that. I don't know what would happen.
I can't do it. Mine gets on the side of it. So
maybe I'll try it because I'm supposed to bowl next week. So.
Oh, are you bowling at Open Championships?
I am scheduled to.
Okay.
And I've told a couple folks the story about me taking a bowling ball around for the first couple weeks on tour, and just yet to practice. And so maybe I don't know, like Tuesday morning or something. I'll stop in here.
Throw a couple games.
I got to do something.
When was the last time you bowled?
February?
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
Maybe late January. I also had some kind of knee injury.
Okay.
That I was supposed to test a while ago. So now I'm in it. I'm committed. I'm in there.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay. There's live scoring. I can check on that, right? I mean, we have like
yes, there is.
We have a week and a half off, so.
Yes, there is. But now I won't tell you what day I'm bowling.
Okay.
No, it's Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Ayers.
Ooh.
Ultimate penalty for Debbie, and the way Shayna is looking currently with the ball change opens right now won't do certainly any good, and couple the fact that Ung is really lined up. Jasmine Mason has thrown 4 out of the first 5 against Jordan Richard.
She has a comfortable lead on Jordan.
And for Jordan, who performed well last year at this event, that was their first event on the PWBA Tour, first as a professional. Well in qualifying, and then, get to match play. It's
a different environment.
It's always up in the air. She lost her first 2 matches, and it's potentially looking that way again here.
It's amazing that how different they are from qualifying to match play, but then you realize there is less traffic, and you stay on the same pair. It's luck of the draw for this tournament. Who you follow, what squad you get in, what side of the bracket you're on, what pair you get. I mean, it's like the pieces just have to fall in the right way. I know, like Caroline, she made that ball change. She went wrap 10, flat 10. So she's close. Allie's migrated in a little bit. Kind of gave it the left to right.
Some of our chat regulars having some fun.
I think I saw one earlier this week.
What do you mean?
I saw something in the chat, but I just don't remember what all
Oh,
it
okay.
said.
No, they're awesome. We really do have some
There's some faithful ones.
some great viewers, and a core group is developing on Bowl TV of specifically of those who often interact via the chat, and I enjoy very much. Like Chris Pulliam, who said he ordered dinner so he wouldn't have to miss anything.
That's awesome. I've done that before.
I do admire that dedication. He is dedicated to, as is everyone else. Jennifer and Brandon. And who else we got in here? Let's see. Let's see. Thomas, Mark, Brian. Brent is here. Abrielle. And James. We got a couple of Mr. Robinson and Ward watching as well. Aaron. Now they're just talking about Korean barbecue. All right, I'm going to stop looking at that because I am a little hungry. I've never had that too, by the way, so it's on my list.
Korean barbecue?
Yeah.
I had it in... Okay. Plano. There's one near the bowl in Plano.
How was it?
It was very good.
Okay. Do you remember the name of it?
No, I don't.
It was nearby, though.
It was nearby.
All right,
It
that's
was
all that
not
matters.
far. It was not far from Plano Super Bowl.
Good shot. Yep. Excellent shot there from Lagrange.
It looked like she got a little softer from her flat 10s, or wrap 10, flat 10. Wow. Tanya Ramenper shot 268, game 3. She's down on 41 and 42, and she's going to knock out Liz Johnson.
Wow. And there it is. The #1 seed has fallen. Liz Johnson, and certainly myself and a lot of people were saying, hey, you know, with what the condition presents, this could be a long run for Liz.
I thought so too.
But again,
she missed a single pin in the first frame, so that's 10 pins right there. Let's see what else we have going on. They were done pretty quick.
it's interesting. I think, uh-oh, get some help.
That one looked like it hung up on her thumb. Still a makeable. It's a tricky makeable, but it's still a makeable.
You know, the tour certainly, obviously has kind of turned over in regards to the experience and youth. And, tour keeps getting younger and younger, which is certainly great with, collegiate bowlers being able to kind of take that immediate step to the professional level. But I think you're just starting to see a few more players kind of understand, the winning standpoint, kind of the winning mechanism and how to do it by watching players, obviously, like Liz, who really for the first 3 seasons was dominant.
Yes.
And watching Shannon O'Keefe, for example, last season. And now it's kind of like, okay, I can bowl or compete with players like that. Let's just go ahead and do it. Let's show it. Let's put it on display. And the other part of it, honestly, is also just this event, right? Because if this was like the U.S. Women's Open, where you got 24 games of match play, that's just a small blip,
Yes.
on the overall radar in that event. Liz is losing 30 pins and not the match.
Yes, 1 pin is the difference of you lose a match by pin, you've lost 30 more. And those bonus pins come in handy at the U.S. Women's Open.
Yes, they do. I'll always go back to the 2016 U.S. Women's Open when Shannon Puhalski went from 24th to 1st.
Oh, yes, in Chicagoland at Stardust. That's a tough center to bowl in. Topography there plays a role.
And no messenger for Tatro. So Allie is a coach at Derby High School. At least she was. I have to confirm that she still is. But she's a state champion winning coach. Won a state title with the boys bowling team 2 seasons ago. Also a teacher at the school. What else you got on our updates?
Well, we got Finch pair on 11 and 12. Katie Ann Sopp is at Schroeder. She got the win over Rebecca Martin. Then it looks like the Haley Richard Jen Higgins match is close right now. Haley Richard right now has a lead. They're going to finish up within the next few minutes. Haley Richards' max score is going to be 594, and I think that one's already shut out because Jen Higgins can only get to 560. So Haley Richards going to move on there. Trying to do the max scores in my head, and let's see, 17 and 18. It looks like Caitlin Johnson's gonna beat out Lauren Pate. Lauren Pate's max score is only gonna be 614, and Caitlin Johnson, she's already at 632. So Caitlin Johnson with the win there. Shannon O'Keefe's gonna move on, continue her defense of her title in the Contenders bracket.
And she's got a ways to go, but one match at a time.
Got the shot of Lagrange in front of us. Got the shot a little right, leaving the 2-8-10. It's one of those leads. You miss a little right, 2-8-10, 2-4-8-10, that 2-10 combination. And then you get a little left, you're looking at a 3-10, 3-6-10. And if you miss more right, you see the super washout. Deandra left on lane 31, a little off camera to our right. Let's see if we've got any other updates here.
Well, Jordan Richard has been eliminated. Jay Red shot 527. And Mason with the 10th frame to go, already at 668. Air striking in the 8th. This one's not completely over.
That one's not done yet. It's keeping it close. It's going to come down to these last few frames. Last, what, 2.5 frames? The Holstenberg and Robles match is going to be close. I get confused looking at the live scoring and then looking up at the the current scoring we have up here.
Both of our featured pair matches kind of, in a sense, back and forth to where each time you think one player is going to kind of take control, that is not quite the case. And that right lane for Shayna Ung, she's left the majority of any multi-pin combinations.
Yeah, 248 now. She left a 245 earlier on that lane. Maybe it's like lane 28. There's the hang spot to the right that was created. Maybe it was created from Debbie, where she was playing a little left to right, kind of pushing the oil out to where Shayna was playing. And Shayna with that ball speed it'll kind of exaggerate the hang spot. So
looks like we've got a tie between Jen Higgins and Haley Richard.
Do we?
At 560 apiece, and that tie will be broken by kind of one ball sudden death.
Oh, I gave it to Haley too early there, didn't I?
Unfortunate open in the 10th. 8 split and 1 for the tie.
Are they going to do it like the roll off right now, or are they going to wait until?
I would imagine that they would.
Tennille's down there.
Probably go ahead and knock it out.
Yeah, Tennille's down there. I see her. Probably knock it out, get it out of the way.
Especially if it's just one ball.
That's rough. Do they bowl on the same lane, or is it one on each lane?
That's a good question. I don't think they're moving lanes though.
I mean, like.
Or you're probably. It's probably.
It's on their pair. Is it?
Higher seed.
Gets to choose. What lane? In order. Okay.
I guess what would be normal sudden death rules, if that makes sense.
Okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. The broadcaster should know the rules. That is, that's one of the keys to success.
It's coming down to the final frames in our featured pairs. Next round of contenders gets the bowl in the burn. What's left over? I don't know. They're looking tricky.
Yeah, the earlier looked a little better.
Yes.
The earlier burn squad, I should say the winner's burn squad, they bowled at 130.
Yes, they looked. Oh, that was a great shot.
That was a must-have right there for Ayers.
Keep her hopes alive.
Debbie has been to a participant for quite some time. Best shot of the match there for Tatro.
That was a great shot. Hi, girl. I always say it's one of the great shots, a video-worthy one. I see Haley Richard up on the approach.
Well, Higgins just left a 7-10.
Okay.
So 9 to advance for Richard. Sounded like 10.
Gave a little fist pump, so. She had a heck of a run on the burn squad yesterday.
I was going to say, that's awesome for Haley Richard. After talking with them, just getting to know them a little bit better, and their parents, speaking of Haley and Jordan. Jordan is always talking about, as we see one in the channel there from Caroline, Jordan always talking about how good Haley is, and, you know, how it's easy for people to just kind of overlook her because of the success that Jordan has had so early on. But always has said that Haley is really just as good, and so it's good to see her continuing on in the event.
That is why you never give up.
This week it'll be the other way around. I'm sure Jordan will immediately, find out where Haley's bowling and be there to support her, as Haley is always there to support Jordan as well.
I know I saw Jordan last week. She was watching Haley bowl the regional. So.
Big spare for Lagrange.
She hurt herself a little bit in count, so.
Well, Debbie with the 4-7-10, but
Shayna's got enough
Yep.
for the win. Great shot for Lagrange.
so it's coming down to it.
This match on lanes 27-20, it's kind of ones that's here you have it, no you take it, here you have it, here you, no you take it.
Again, approximately 20 minutes after the final ball of this round is when the next portion of the Contenders will begin. Tatro, big shot. And her first double couldn't have come at a better time. And what was a 9-pin advantage for Tatro coming into this game. Tatro max score
225. And Caroline's max score is 214.
That puts their respective maxes at 583 and 603. Ung finishing things up. Ayers finishes with 597. Again, excellent event for Debbie. And again, going back to her senior queen success earlier this year, she can mark it down as 2 for 2 in the match play situation in that regard. 2 successes. 9th frame. Important shot here. That's got a hook. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Shot looked maybe just in catching up. I mean,
Kind of missed it
just
at
a
the
hair.
bottom.
Yeah.
It was on target. That's when you kind of hope you just leave one. You either leave the 7 or the 10. Just a bad break.
Give it the old bounce.
It's makeable in this place. The pins will bounce.
All right, best she can do now is 191.
Max score 569 total. Heather Dureco cut off Stephanie Schwartz, 599 to 571. Got Lagrange coming up.
Lagrange is going to need a couple strikes here. That's one. Excellent shot. That was about as good as, even though she threw one in the channel this game, the spare shot
Was great.
of that was fantastic. It looked exactly like that one on the right lane.
She needs one more. Is that right? And Leanne Hulsenberg is gonna come back and get Lily Robles.
The Hall of Famer. PWBA Hall of Famer now as well. If Lagrange does not strike here, it won't matter.
It's a great shot. That's clutch.
She would have given Tatro a chance to double as well. See a big hug there from good friends Brittany Brown and Caitlin Johnson. Count here is still important. It's a little left.
That'd be.
I
think it's enough though. She's gotta make it. She's gotta make it to get to 570.
Correct, which would be.
That'd be enough.
A shutout.
Yep.
Anything less, if she gets 2,
Allie Tatro can strike out for the tie.
she can strike out to tie.
Okay.
If she chops it or gets 1, I should say, Tatro can strike out for the win. So there's that scenario we talked about earlier. Making a 3-6-10 to win a match.
We got 2 in our view here.
And there it is.
Great spare, shutout.
Lagrange is going to sneak by in a match where, again, that it was a seesaw.
Just to think, if she hadn't thrown a gutter, it would have been a little different story.
Well, the fact that she did throw the gutter, but spared it.
That's impressive, because I know I threw a gutter this week.
You know, you can look at that either way. If
Yes.
she threw the gutter, that could be the difference, but the spare, basically, in this
The
situation, is the difference.
Stay clean.
Yes.
Tatro finishing things out. Official score next door, Leanne Holstenberg over Lilia Robles, 602 to 551.
Brittany Brown defeats Estefania Cobo. Angie Ramirez over Deandra Esbady, 607-539. Brianna Cote, 723 over Missy Parkin, 611. Shannon Salins defeats Anita Arnett, 661 to 585. And Juliana Franco defeats Ileana Lomelli. It's all the ones I have left on the live scoring, so if we missed a couple, I think we got most of them.
Well, that's at least the second time that we know of, and it's probably happened maybe a few more times where a pocket 7-10 late in the match. It happened to Shannon O'Keefe. She left a couple back-to-back in her first round match, while Caitlin Simpson was running her down, shooting 274. Tatro leaves a pocket 7-10 in the 9th, and that ultimately for Tatro, difference late in this match is she's going to fall here to Lagrange. I do like what Allie is doing here. She didn't just go through the motions to end this match. She went full 100%. And I can always get on board. That kind of respect right there.
Yes.
So ladies, we will have warm-up at 5:45, so stay tuned.
Yep, 20 minutes it is.
We have, what, 16 players eliminated? Is that correct?
Yep.
16 players eliminated.
So 5:45. 5:45 Central, 6:45 Eastern is when we will be back with you. We will not turn anything off. We're going to keep our events live because who wants to schedule 8 more events in the next 5 to 10 minutes? So we'll keep it. We'll keep them live. So if you don't see any bowling, we'll let you know in the chat that, of course, just what's going on. But Summer, any interesting matches now that we have some winners?
I'm going to go through. Tanya Ramenper versus Jennifer Russo. Katie Ann Sopp versus Carolyn Doran Ballard. Haley Richard against Bernice Lim. Brittany Brown and Jennifer King. I would like to see that match. They kind of have similar.
Yeah, you're right.
Similar games. Jennifer throws it a little bit harder than Brittany, but Brittany's got that tilt we were talking about earlier to get it through the front part. So I'm interested to see, especially, well, now they're going to bowl in the burn, so it's going to depend on who they follow. I think the most interesting pair would be Jasmine Mason and Jordan Richards pair with all the rev rate that went down the lane. And I think they were a little more left than some of the other bowlers. Let's see what else we have here. We'll have Caitlin Johnson. I believe she beat Lauren Pate.
Yes. Yeah, we said that.
Caitlin Johnson versus Natalie Cortez. Shannon O'Keefe versus Kristen Nieder. Heather DeRaco versus Erin McCarthy. Got two different styles there. Heather likes to play a little straighter. Of course, Erin likes to kind of shake the ball, kind of left to right. Jasmine Mason versus New Wei Fen.
Oh.
That's a good match.
That's interesting.
Leanne Holsenberg versus Diana Z.
Ooh.
Is that like a rematch of something? 2013 Queens final? Maybe?
I love your memory. I wanted to say they bowled in the at the Las Vegas Open last year to open up the season, but I'm not sure if they actually bowled each other.
Because Diana was the 1 seed.
That is correct.
And I think Leanne bowled Liz Johnson and Shayna.
'13. There it is.
Yep. I'm impressed that I remember that, to be honest. That was a good guess. Well, 2014 was my first Queens, so I think I saw that show in 2013. I was like, I'm going to go bowl Queens the next year, and I did. Got to check.
I like that.
Let's see. Caroline Lagrange. Is it Caroline or Carolyn?
Caroline.
Caroline Lagrange versus Valerie Bercier. We got the Canadians.
Brian McLean will be very interested in that match.
And then we have Shayna Ung versus Laura Plazas, which I find that match quite intriguing. They both like to...
There's a lot of hooking right there, too.
Oh, lots of rev rate.
A lot of rev rate.
Then you have Brianna Cote versus Maria Jose Rodriguez.
Okay.
She's going to be on lanes 15 and 16. But I want to hang out in the booth with you, I think. I'll watch from afar. And then if she gets in trouble, I'll run down there. Angie won, correct?
Yeah.
She's going to face off against Lindsay Boomershine.
Good matchup there.
Shannon Sellens and Andrea Petraglia. I like that matchup. That's quite intriguing. Juliana Franco and Kayla Bandy.
Okay.
They have like a UMES connection, I believe.
They do. A little different styles of play, but they'll be in the same part of the lane.
Juliana's kind of a little more ball speed, but she's also got that unique roll.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but she's just able to get the ball through the front part of the lane and it goes to the pins the right way. And Kayla's just soft, and she's got that soft hand. And then we'll have
was that Rebecca White?
Yeah, she won against Carrie, correct?
Yes.
She's going to take on Caitlin Simpson in our second round of the Contenders bracket. Got a bunch of different styles.
This is good.
I like it.
A lot of interesting and intriguing matchups here. All right. So we'll take a small break. Again, we won't shut anything down. We will turn off. No, we'll keep a crowd mic on, but it'll be low. That way, no one says anything that they should, and it gets out there. No, I'm just playing. Summer, appreciate you, and we'll be back in a moment. That sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So not 20 minutes anymore. 15 minutes. At this moment, we'll be back with you for the next set of Contenders bracket matches here on Bowl TV.
to your starting pair. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the USBC and our gold partners, Brunswick, Columbia 300, Ebonite, Hammer, Hegel, Roto Griffin, Storm, welcome to North Rock Lanes for the 2019 USBC Queens. This afternoon, we will have our second round of our Contenders double elimination bracket. Each match will consist of 3 games total pins. Winner moves on, and 16 players will end their run at the Queen's Tiara tonight. Athletes, your lanes are now coming on for 10 minutes of warm-up. Athletes, please hold up on your warm-up. Hold up on your warm-up. No more deliveries at this time. Reminder to our bowling fans that flash photography and the signing of autographs is strictly prohibited during competition. Please silence those cell phones to prevent any distractions to the athletes. This week, the field of play is the tiled area at the bottom of the stairs, and that belongs to our athletes and our athletes only. Please do not enter the field of play for any reason. Also, as a reminder, BowlTV.com is the exclusive live streaming home of the PWBA.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back as we continue our coverage of the USBC Queens, specifically with Contenders bracket matches. We just saw the first round of those matches conclude. The winners have moved on. Now they are taking on players who won a match earlier, but of course lost in the earlier 130 rounds of the winners bracket. Now joined by Josie Barnes, who is in the clubhouse early tonight. She won a couple matches and will be back on the lanes tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. Before we get into what we have here, Jose, with Katie Ann Sopp-Schroeder and Carolyn Doran Ballard, Bernice Lim, and Haley Richard, let's briefly just discuss kind of how things went for you on the lanes, what you saw out there, and maybe what was different, certainly from qualifying to as we get into such a different environment with match play.
Yeah, match play is just so different, because during qualifying you're sort of paying attention to what's going on around you, but not so much the scores on the with the people that you're bowling with. And match play, you really have to pay attention to what your opponent's doing, where they're playing, what their ball's doing. And I was fortunate today. I started out both matches really strong, and then my ball reaction started to go away, my look started to go away, and fortunately for me, we ran out of frames.
Okay. Keeping it real.
Yeah, I mean,
fair enough.
It's bowling, especially I felt like the first match I was bowling Jasmine Mason, and watching the way the ball reaction, we were on the fresh, the way it was starting to break down, I felt like it was coming to her, and mine didn't really feel that way. So had we gone another game, it very well could have looked differently.
Well, speaking of Jasmine, she rebounded and actually defeated Jordan Richard earlier in or the first group of Contenders bracket matches here. So she will be advancing, or has advanced, I should say, and is facing a New Way Finn down on the high end. We'll go over the matches. We went over them at the end of the round, but we'll do it again for any new viewers.
I'll say I think the thing that I was most impressed with, and I was able to watch Jasmine through her 4 years in college when she was at Nebraska, but specifically since she has been out on tour these first couple of events, she's had some good ones. She had one, I think, that wasn't so stellar, she'd probably say. But the one thing I've been impressed with in watching her in our match is that she's very even-keeled for being so young. I think it's normal for these young kids to come out, and I don't know if it's anxiety or nerves or just the excitement of being at the event, but I watched her and thought that she carried herself very well, and probably a little older than she really is.
Well, I'm sure that type of compliment and that type of intangible certainly take you a long way.
Yeah.
Here is Katie Ann Saab-Schroeder. And this is the burn, folks, so no re-oil during that 20-minute break. We would need probably a few more minutes.
Yeah, a couple.
for this amount of lanes, certainly. But so your first, watched a few shots here, saw a little bit of practice, and when I saw some practice, I'm like, are we sure we're bowling on the
right.
burn? Because everyone's still right. I mean,
yeah,
except Katie Ann, and I know she likes to play it a little left.
She does, and it looks pretty close to what she was doing down on the low end. I was able to watch a little bit down there. It's interesting because she started really well. I thought watching practice that Carolyn's look might have had just a little more room for error, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But Katie Ann had a fantastic set last set.
7:01, I believe, was the number.
It was a lot.
And we've seen a few 700s today. And so, again, there is some score out there. There is a few strikes to be had. And there's also a couple of pairs that will produce some low scores, and we've seen a couple of those as well. So here is CDB.
This match will be interesting because they're not going to mess with each other. Katie Ann's so much further left than Carolyn, so and it looks like they both have a pretty good look. So to me, it's just going to come down to shot making.
Bernice Lim and Haley Richard over on 29 and 30. Last time we saw Bernice, she was actually on 27 and 28 this morning. And she lost to, that's leaving me all of a sudden, Danielle McEwen.
Danielle bowled a great set, that match, right?
She shot 707. Yeah. Bernice never really could find the right ball reaction. And by the time that, something that looked decent enough, and that too was on the burn. It was a little bit too late, and McEwen had full control and full command of the 1-3 at that point. But Bernice Lim playing an area of the lane that she did not play on the burn on 27 and 28. If she did play there, she may have started there, inched her way in, but throwing a different ball at this point. So, whatever the situation was, and the news, the information that she gained, already looking pretty good here at 29 and 30.
That was a good shot. Haley had a very interesting match. The last match I was down there, her and Jen weren't scoring real high, but they were making very good shots. It was one of those pairs that the pins just really didn't want to fall. There were a lot of flat 10s, 7s, and then going into the last game, I want to say Jen left 2 7-10s on the left lane. Haley had one of her own. Haley was working on a double going into the 10th frame. I believe just needed 9 on her first ball to win the match, and she 4-9'd and got one, so it went to a sudden death 1-ball roll off where Jen 7-10'd again, giving Haley a chance to close out the match, which she did.
Saab-Schroeder off the open. Back into that four-bagger, looking to get right back into it, and she
Very
does.
good shot.
Was Katie Ann around your time as a collegiate player?
I don't believe it was as a player. I remember watching her as a coach. There are some kids that have overlapped to both phases, and it's been so long now that I don't really remember which one is which. But I do remember watching her as a coach.
Yeah, it's been a little, it's been a few years now since you've been.
Yeah, I'm going to be starting my 10th season.
Wow. As a coach?
As a coach, yeah. I've been in Nashville since the fall of 2006.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're leaving.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's okay. You've made Vandalia proud. Oh. Good shot there from Jen Russo. Let's quickly go over and run down the matches that we do have ongoing for you right now. Tanya Raumemper and Jennifer Russo. Brittany Brown and Jennifer King. Caitlin Johnson and Natalie Cortez. Shannon O'Keefe and Kristen Nieder. Heather DeRico and Erin McCarthy. Jasmine Mason and New Wei Finn. Leanne Holstenberg versus Diana Zavyalova. Caroline Lagrange versus Valerie Mercier. Shayna Ung and Laura Plazas. Brianna Cote, Maria Jose Rodriguez, Angie Ramirez, and Lindsay Boomershine. Shannon Sellens and Andrea Petraglia. Juliana Franco and Kayla Bandy, and Rebecca Whiting and Caitlin Simpson. All winners from this round will move on to also tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So everyone who is still at the tournament or in the tournament at the end of this round will bowl tomorrow at 9 a.m. CDB, a past Queens champion. In 2001, finished second in 2012.
I remember that show.
Why was that?
That was my first show.
Oh.
I played. Hey. And it was a very good title match. I think Deandra had to get up and throw the first one in the 10th.
What do you remember most about that experience, your first TV show?
How quickly it went. I remember having a lot of mixed emotions. I felt like I competed really well. I think I shot a low 220s game, but I faced Liz Johnson in my match, and she was on 290 pace going into the 10th. So I just totally got my teeth beat in. It just went by so quick that you don't really have a second to really allow that moment to sink in.
How's it differed since? Because you've had plenty of opportunity at this point.
Yeah, I don't know that it really has. And it's similar to the conversation I have with my kids. We've been fortunate to make a couple TV shows for the Collegiate National Championship. And each year I tell them, try to take a second to just enjoy the moment, because you never know when the next one's going to be, if there's going to be a next one, because it's a moment you'll remember your entire life. But I find it so hard to really do that and be able to look back and remember exactly what those emotions were. I think that they evolve over time, just like anything. When you look back on any sort of history you're looking at, the moment feels different than when we're sitting around talking about it.
Richard for 3 in a row.
Another good shot. I remember that week being a whirlwind week because I hadn't originally planned to bowl to Queens. I didn't think that I could get the time off because we still had the kids at school, and we'd ended up having a pretty good week at Nationals, so I offhand just jokingly asked my boss if I could have the week off to go bowl, and he said, well, if you really want to do it. And I said, for real? So we made a last minute, couple days before decision, and Kyle and I packed up the car and drove to Dallas. Hadn't practiced for probably a month going into it because I had no intention of really bowling it, and somehow the stars aligned.
That gives me a lot of hope for my Open Championships experience next week. Didn't practice for a month, made the Queen's TV show. Okay. I'm just looking to like get to 600 for 3 games. Nice shot there for Bernice Lim.
I think that's the interesting thing about this format, though, that once you get to this point, you only have to beat one person at a time. You know, instead of trying to think about the field or chasing down the leader, I just have to, you know, compete with the person sitting across from me. And I think it's a shift in mindset.
Ballard looking to double up early game 1. Next round of Contenders matches.
She liked that one.
Chop that 10 out. So you mentioned it earlier that, of course, CDB is going to do what she does, and then Katie Ann has what she likes to see, as well as the matches move forward. I mean, throughout the week, we've heard people say, hey, you know, moving left hasn't really been favorable.
Yeah.
Do we foresee anything like that if Katie Ann needs to make some adjustments at some point via transition?
For her to continue to move left? I think so. I think that for the most part, that has been true. That it was hard because it looked like the pattern got flatter as we moved further left. But Katie Ann, from what I've watched for the last several years, this is what she really likes to do. So she's really good at it, you know. So we've talked about it a little bit, but at the end of the day, when you get on into this head-to-head thing, you know, what Carolyn's doing, that's her A game. That's what she likes to do. And it's going to be really hard if that's not your A game to beat her playing your B or C game. So I think Katie Ann's doing the right thing by doing the thing that she's comfortable with. You know, I mean, heck, she just shot 700 doing it. So, you know, it hasn't worked for everyone this week, probably not most people, but she's really good at it. So she's going to stick to the game plan.
I feel there is always one exception. Where, when, you know, you shouldn't be able to
usually
play.
Liz.
Well, yeah, that's true. You shouldn't be able to play in an area. And right now, Sop Schroeder showing that you can at least through one game. Richard with trouble here, 210. She will grab the count. Bernice Lim is clean through 8 frames.
I think the biggest difference between Haley and Bernice right now, because they're trying to attack the lane pretty similarly, but Haley likes to just throw it a little firmer, and I think that if she could find a way to just get a little bit softer, that would probably help her entry angle to the pocket a little bit. But there again, we're talking about A game,
sure,
B game type of thing, and Haley's really good at keeping it firm and in front of her.
Dynamite shot there for Katie and Sop Schroeder. This has got all the makings of a very good match here.
Yeah.
To our left, Jen Russo and Tanya Raumemper, who shot 268.
I heard.
And the final
I didn't get
game,
to see it, but I heard about it.
To just edge Liz Johnson and eliminate the #1 seed.
I think that 1 seed's cursed here. Pluhowski and I were talking about it. We were joking
difficult.
that if we were leading going into the last game of qualifying, would we switch balls and shoot 150? There just hasn't been a ton of luck. I mean, something you'd probably have to go back and archive, but how many one seeds have even made the show?
That.
Yeah, but again, it's just a new tournament today.
Well, I know last year the #1 seed was Ingebeck of Sweden, and it started off well. She won a few matches, won their first 2 to get to. At that time, of course, it was the same day. So last year, bowling at the stadium.
Yeah.
There's plenty of lanes.
Right.
Obviously, for those that don't know, National Bowling Stadium, 78 lanes. Took 2 out back in the day for center aisle. So we had a lot of bowling on Sunday, on the first day of match play. But Wegner won her first 2 matches, lost her third match, and Well, she made it all the way to you.
Oh, I don't remember that.
So, yeah.
Which is funny because normally I remember that stuff.
Yeah, she made it to, well, I guess winning 2 got her to the point to where, oh, let's see. Yeah, she
won 1 in the Contenders.
Won 1 in the Contenders and then lost. So, I would say for recent history,
that was pretty good.
That's pretty solid.
Actually, yeah.
But you're right, though.
Because I remember
overall,
Verity being the 1 seed.
Yeah.
And she went 0-2 the year it was in Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was 2015. She talked about that, actually.
Yeah. I actually was the 64 seed when we were in Vegas, and Birgit was the 1 seed. She beat me in the first round, but it was close. I tried to run that on that 1 seed. But
well, let me ask you, because, I mean, you know, Brandy Brinker came in
Yeah.
here this morning, bowling Liz as the 64 seed. Not imagine, again, with just a fresh outlook, because,
Yeah.
you know, she did what she had to do to make it, and then it's, you know, all else goes.
yeah.
at that
Well,
point.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you're the 64 seed, so by all accounts, you're not supposed to beat anybody in the field, right? I mean, when you're looking at it.
From a bracket perspective,
From a
yes.
bracket perspective, you're not picked
Right.
from an odds to beat anybody. So at that point, just go out and play on house money.
256, 226.
It's a high-scoring match.
Early.
Bernice is going to finish strong here.
Yes, she is. And looks like certainly a Queen's champion there. How quick is it when you got to make adjustments? Because, again, a couple matches ago, it was just like, man, she just had no look.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get to, you know, have a few minutes to consider some things, and then you got to go right back out there.
Yeah.
How quick is that adjustment for you to try to figure something out, if anything?
Well, you're hoping super quick, right? And you're hoping you're making the right decisions, but especially when you start bowling on the burn, you have an idea of what took place the match before, because I think for the most part we're all pretty familiar with each other about the style that we like to play, where we tend to play on patterns, but you don't really ever have all the information. So it's really just, I call it gut guessing. You know, what's my gut telling me? And sometimes it doesn't work. So especially when you're bowling somebody like Danielle, who's not missing,
Sure.
like she did in that match. Oh boy, Carolyn. You want to make those decisions quick and hope that they stick. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Jasmine Mason just shot 279, apparently.
She's on a roll.
So she'll take a very nice lead. But again, and I mentioned this today, folks, and I know you've heard me say it, no lead really is safe after game 1.
No. Well, shoot. Shannon was up 90 after 2 games and lost to
Caitlin Simpson.
Caitlin Simpson, yes. And didn't bowl bad her 3rd game.
I feel this was not a bad 181 game here for Haley Richard.
No.
Just left an A-pin.
It's kind of how our last match went, where she was controlling the pocket. They just, all 10 weren't falling on the first one.
North Rock Lanes is the home of the USBC Women's Championships. Taking a little break during the Queens, which it always does when the event is ongoing. They'll be back in action next week. See, right after our TV show, which is Tuesday. Live television on May 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to check that out. DVR set if you won't be available. But we'll keep you through it, or have you through it to on Bowl TV leading up to that.
Nice little trick 4.
Early double for Katie Ann. for Nebraska Cornhusker, one of 17 former Huskers bowling last week in Lincoln. Nice shot there from Haley Richard. Where's Haley to Arkansas State? From the collegiate coaching standpoint, obviously you coached against Haley.
Both of them.
And Jordan.
Yeah.
What stood out to you? And you kind of described Haley's game a little bit earlier, but what stood out to you when you first saw Haley and then throughout her collegiate career?
Yeah, so she obviously went to school with her sister, so I think for most of her career she bowled as the setup man, the 4-9. I think the thing that Haley did really well, and I think it's important in college, is kind of like what I talked about earlier. She's really firm. That's part of what she does. And you know, bowling in college, those lanes get so toasty that really towards the end it's just about controlling the pocket. And because of those things, you know, the firmer ball speed and the way she's able to help the ball, excuse me, through the front part of the lane, she was just able to stay and play a lot longer.
Stand and play is so key. Being able to fill frames. She bowled a few stops last year, coming out with Jordan. Oh wow, interesting leave there. The old 410.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the last two shots, Haley's ball has gone through the pins much better. Bernice strikes, and then she goes a little high. Didn't really see where at a weird angle if she missed in or not. But that could be a sign that she's got to start moving because Bernice's ball speed is a touch slower. She's probably going to see that move a little quicker or a little more, where Haley before was 210ing, flat 10ing, and now her ball's starting to pick up and go through the pocket a little better. That might be a sign for Bernice that, hey, it's time to move in just a little bit.
Where would you rank yourself in regards to the ball speed scale?
Ooh, what are you talking about? You know, it's changed over time because I would say when I first came out, I was one of the firmer players on tour, but it didn't help me. You know, my rev rate, we just tested it at our EBI camp, about 270, but I have really high rotation and decently high tilt. So when my ball was traveling down the lane super fast, it wasn't doing the right things. And so I'd worked on it for some time, and it was a hard thing. Well, I wasn't great at changing it. But now with all of my bodily parts changing with this pregnancy, it's actually decreased significantly. Not on purpose.
Sure.
But when we went to the EBI camp, we did the bowler ID where it shoots out every possible number you could ever imagine or want to see. And then they ranked us in order of all of the categories. And where used to I would be one of the top ones in speed, I was second from the bottom. So honestly, I have no idea. It depends on the day. You know, I think I can get firmer if I have to, but right now it's not the thing that I'm most comfortable with just because of the things that are going on. I find it's harder for me, and I would say I'm not fantastic at being able to go high to low, if that makes sense. Like if we feel like I need to be firm and straight through the lane, and then all of a sudden that goes away and I need to be a little slower and get around it, it's going to take me 3 or 4 frames to confidently get to that point where going the other way, I feel better about doing it.
Makes a ton of sense, just because, I mean, you know, and
It's
obviously
all about rhythm.
Right. And a player like yourself, though, you know, as you can have some variances in being able to, you know, on command, hey, you know, you need to bump it up, lower it, etc. But I was watching the first couple weeks, and I'm like,
I think it really helped me the first week.
Right.
I think that it really benefited the first. It didn't help so much the next two. You know, in Lincoln specifically because of the lower volume and the surface. I was trying really hard to stay firm, and you know I was able to do it, just not as well as I would have liked to.
Obviously, what you didn't see on camera, Josie was kind of giving this description about kind of what's going on with her at the moment. And for those who may not know, she is with child.
Yes.
And so, of course, that tends to affect things.
A lot of things.
Especially, I've learned that a lot, actually, as well.
Yeah, you're about to be a dad.
My wife is also pregnant at this moment, so it's been a lot of learning. CDB clean through 4, set to step up here in the 5th frame on lane 28. Cheryl, welcome to Bowl TV. We appreciate you tuning in. We've got live events for you. Obviously, you're watching the Queens, but there is a ton of information available on Bowl TV. Tons of things to watch. We've got a cool backstage channel with the Out of Range podcast featuring Tony Franklin and Derek Hartnell and Matt McFadden.
Those guys are great.
And you appeared on an episode.
They are really funny.
They're doing good stuff.
Yeah.
We've got Earl's journey to 900. He's a little slow out the gates, but just hang with us, and we'll work our way up there. There's a really cool PWBA Hall of Fame podcast that actually Carol and Dorn Ballard kind of led the discussion with Wendy McPherson and Leanne Holsenberg, which is, I mean, if you want to literally just kind of take a time travel trip with 3 Hall of Famers and Carol and certainly a future PWBA Hall of Famer, you want to listen to that, watch that as well. We've got Instruction with 3 of the greatest minds with Stephen Padilla and Rod Ross and Lou Marquez. So go through all the channels, check out the archived events. Let us know what you think, and if you've got a question, please send us an email.
I think the Bowl TV, specifically the archived events, are going to be so awesome because we were actually talking about it at the Hall of Fame dinner at my little table, and I don't consider myself to be old in this realm of things. However, we were talking about there was another table a couple tables away, and it was all of the kids that have recently graduated. I said, how many of these kids actually know who these Hall of Famers are sitting in front of us? Because there was that gap of time that we lost, that even if those women weren't bowling, you still talk about them on the TV shows and bring them up and do the flashbacks. And so we have that amount of time that is just gone from our history that wasn't there for them to kind of watch. So having access to that these kids can go back and watch, because we laughed about it, but in a lot of ways I find it very sad. Like I was joking with Kim Terrell Kearney at one of our collegiate events, and there was a girl who bowls for SFU. Her name is Shelby, I believe, and she anchored for them, and I had no idea that her mom was Cindy Coburn Carroll. I turned around and Cindy Coburn Carroll was in the stands, and I totally had a fangirl moment because I'm like, holy crap, like there she is. I've never seen her in person before. Sure. Like I just remember my mom talking about how awesome she was and all these titles she had won, and my kids are sitting there like, who are you talking about? And I'm like, this is the saddest thing I have ever heard. Like, how do you not know who this woman is? But it was a great learning moment, right? For me, because I'm like, that time is lost. But also, instruction to do. It gave me an opportunity to say, like, you should really know who these women are.
Yeah, Josie is referring to the Vault channel.
Yeah.
And the Vault includes, right now, 11 to 12 past or previous PWBA shows of varying years. Also in that channel is World Team Classic shows, some Team USA, U.S. Amateur shows, and some collegiate shows.
And it's funny because, I don't think these girls just had a lot to watch because there wasn't anything like them. We even asked them. We walked over to the table and said, do you know who that gentleman is sitting over there? And it was Mike Albee. And they really didn't. And it broke my heart. It really did. And it makes me so excited for what's coming down the pike with Bowl TV, because I think that's something that we missed
There's
for
a
a
few
long
master
time.
shows, too, now that I think about it, and the Vault as well. So specifically to the PWBA, Jim Goodwin actually writes a blog kind of devoted to a particular show in the Vault. And so he will then basically travel back in time, relive a moment, or talk about something that maybe only a few would be able to talk about in this realm and the year we are in. to accompany the video. So it's a really cool piece that's on Bowl TV. So I hope that that helps, Cheryl. We appreciate you. Haley Richard with 3 in a row, and that's good because Bernice Slim has quickly doubled up. Richard now with 5 out of 6 to start, and we're definitely going to have to continue this momentum to try to run down Bernice Slim. Meanwhile, CDB, that ball looked like it was about 4 at the arrows.
It looks like maybe she moved just a touch left. It'll be interesting to watch Carolyn because who was on 27 and 28? You said Caroline and Allie?
Caroline Lagrange and Allie.
And Allie, and I wasn't really able to see them. I was off to the side, but I would assume from watching Caroline throughout the week, she was pretty far right.
Yes.
Correct. And Allie was probably close, maybe a little bit left of her.
But boards, right.
Yeah, but in the same area. So to me, Carolyn is going to have a little more change in what she's doing just because there's already been bowling in that spot where Katie Ann is in the area that probably wasn't touched by those two. So
only thing that went in that direction was some plastic balls going from left to right.
So it'll be interesting to see what kind, if any, moves Carolyn will have to make. Because it looks like she's giving it just a little more shape than she was at the beginning of the match.
7-pin wiggled. Yeah, Caroline.
Yeah.
was right, as you just talked about. So Carolyn is literally kind of on top of where Caroline was playing the lanes. Richard for 5 in a row.
And Haley, it looks like she's maybe moved a little bit left. Parallel, maybe. The shape looks close, but.
CDB still clean through 8. Again, Haley putting some pressure on now. And at the moment, it's tied this thing on up. Meanwhile, Tanya Raubemper is continuing her success here. She's got some momentum. She's got the spare and a 6-bagger.
Late trip of the 10.
That's over on 25 and 26 for those who are curious. James is telling us that Kristen Nieder and Shannon O'Keefe are battling, and indeed they are. That's pretty good stuff happening over on 35 and 36, so we'll keep our eyes on that. You just brought up something interesting. I'm not sure if I knew it, and I'll divert from bowling for just 1 second. But you said your mom knew, we talked about all that. So did your mom bowl?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I knew that, but I don't know if we ever really.
She did. Her and my dad both, which you probably knew about my dad because you worked with him. Emil and I go way back.
We do.
Yeah, she mainly bowled league, but she would actually bowl the women's championships. We have some really awesome photos of her with her team because, the women really get into it out here. Not that the men don't, but the women are all about.
Zodiacs come to mind. They do it big from New Orleans.
Yeah, and so I actually still have some of the outfits that my mom would wear when she came out, and I think I might make a ball video in one of them sometime. They would make these fancy vests that they would wear over the shirts, and the buttons would be bowling pins and bowling balls, and she hates when we bring them out. So I'm sure she's going to be really thrilled that you mentioned it here.
I am. Now I'm going to request them.
Yeah.
We can do something with those for the women's championships.
Yeah, I'll find them. Yeah.
This is great. Okay, perfect.
She did. Both my grandparents bowled as well on my mom's side. My grandma is a lefty, southpaw, and my grandpa actually still bowls a league.
How about that?
Yeah.
Are they still Cubs fans?
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah.
I knew the answer to that, but
yeah, he did.
I just had to say it. Ballard. Looked like she might have got that one just a touch on the lane and a bit early, but 10 back nonetheless. Really good match here. And Richard with a spare in the 9th. Bernice Lim has continued her string now at 4. There's some intriguing matchups. Well, Jasmine Mason. She shot 279 early. It looks like she's
got a
little following going as well. I'm sure you've noticed this as a professional.
Yeah.
That kind of, fans kind of tend to latch on to certain players that they like, and then all of a sudden you've got a support group that maybe you didn't come with to the event. What's that like?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think this week's an exception. We don't have a pro-am, but we get an opportunity pretty much every Thursday night to interact and really get one-on-one with the fans, and it's incredible how many of them then continue to come out and support us throughout the week. And I think those moments are so important because they start to realize that you're just a normal person. I'm very human, and there's not a whole lot that's super special about me. I'm just like you.
And with child.
And with child. And so I think getting to have that one-on-one conversation with them, they feel a connection to you, and you feel that towards them as well. I think I have this one woman. I didn't meet her in a pro-am, but I actually met her bowling the women's championship before at Queens in Vegas, and we were just able to have a quick 15 to 20 minute conversation, and she's basically like a grandmother to me now. She's always reaching out, and I think that's part of the thing that makes the bowling community so cool, is that there are those connections that you just hold on to.
232 for Haley Richard. A nice bounce back game, but Lim is going to be right there and match her.
Yeah.
Big thanks to all of our fans who continue to tune in. We appreciate you on Bowl TV. Bernice Lim has gotten that 10 pin to fall a few times now. Haley Richard got a nice break on the 10 pin during her string as well. So third game should be quite interesting on 29 and 30. Ballard shoots 199. I feel, I said this before, or I forgot which match I was discussing, but that 199 seemed like a much better bold game than what the score
it was clean
has brought to Carolyn. At the same time, however, this could give a chance to Katie Ann, who can get to 211 this game.
Make up some pins. Say her body language didn't say that she liked it.
Summer and I were discussing earlier, and it seemed like 28 seemed to be just a touch tighter down lane.
Okay.
But that shot, it looked pretty good. We'll have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
What that's going to do, however, is allow Carolyn Ballard to increase that lead heading into game number 3.
Well, I do think, and this is a general statement, this doesn't apply to everything, but I do think that if 28 is in fact tighter down lane, I would think that it would benefit Carolyn because she's not really giving the pocket away. She's not going away from it as much as Katie Ann, so it probably looks more magnified when Katie Ann misses a little bit, that it looks like it goes a couple feet longer than it does for Carolyn. Plus, Carolyn's ball is reading the lane much sooner than Katie Ann's is.
.475 to 413. Bernice Lim with the advantage over Haley Richard. 455 to 401. CDB leading Katie Ann Sopp-Schroeder. My name is Emil Williams Jr. I'm in the booth with PWBA champion 2 times, Josie Barnes 3 times. Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Rochester.
Oh, yeah. I can only do that to you.
That one was a ways back.
It was. I think that's what's killing me. Rochester,
Connecticut.
last year in East Hartford, and of course Cleveland here in 2019. Oh yeah, that's right. Because you was acting funny in 2017, but you got your title late in that season. 2016.
2016. Yeah, because that was when we qualified in Rochester, but competed after the U.S. Open for the title.
What happened in 2015?
I didn't bowl that many in 2015. The first couple of years, I maybe bowled half of them. It was a couple of things. It was, I think, getting work ready and buying into the idea that not only is this an investment for me, but it's good for them too. I'm able to get out here and meet with people, get them to know Vanderbilt a little bit. And so not trying to go too far in the first couple of years and kind of buying my time. And then it was also just kind of logistically, financially, I'm in a different place now in my career than I was then. And so feeling comfortable with the idea of spending that amount of money up front and knowing that I'm good enough to recoup that. I think the first couple of years, and then once all that kind of got worked out and had the conversation with Kyle, is this something that we think we want to do, we can be invested in? Because at this point, I am married. It's not just a me thing. It's a team effort. And so making sure he was okay with the idea of this is what's going on. And then in 2017, I missed two events, two or three, I think, because that's when I got married.
You did get married.
Yeah. So I actually bowled well in 2017. I don't think I missed a cash, but I just was never, never a super high week.
Sound bowling advice, and if you were listening, some sound relationship advice as well. And now a bucket here for Haley Richard.
I think that was probably one of the, I don't know if scariest, hardest parts or not, but Kyle was also a very good competitive bowler in his own right. Then when the women's tour, he still competes, but he has we call it a quote real job, so he doesn't really get to do it as much. But it was asking a lot to say, can we invest what our bowling fund is into what I'm doing, because he loves to compete. And he loves to bowl, and that's a big part of him. It's why we're together. And so kind of being able to have that tough conversation of, and he says it, I'm pretty darn good, but you're way better in your field. Like, go do your thing. So, having that support, it makes it easy when you come out here to know that he fully buys into what I'm doing.
Another good match between Jen King and Brittany Brown, and the first sign of trouble here for CDB as that one crept high. She leaves a 4-7-10, 426 to 405. King leading Brown just about every match into game number 3. So take a look at some live scoring.
And how great is that feature?
It's awesome.
Like, I love it.
Beyond awesome. We appreciate this week Brunswick and Merrick scoring. They actually have live scoring for the USBC Women's Championships throughout, so we're able to utilize that this week. Jasmine Mason turned the corner, or is turning the corner with 517. So she's on.
That's a lot.
She's on Cindy Jane numbers today. Is if you're just joining us, Cindy Jane won both of her matches earlier today. 783 and 781.
I know Erin, my roommate, was her opponent in the second match, and she said,
boy.
She said, what's funny is I walked down and we were talking before the match ever got started, and she said, "Can you just not shoot 800 on me?" And I guess Lee Jane said, "Well, no, I'm not going to shoot 800. Like, I just have a big set. Like, it's not going to be anywhere close." And then I don't know what she had making the turn. It was like 530 or something. I was bowling, so I didn't see it. And she's like, she starts with a double and then 610s. I don't know, something. And Aaron's like, you didn't have to feel bad for me. You could have just, shot it. I knew it had to be high scoring because I don't think that I bowl slow. I think I'm a decent pace out here. Moderately paced out here because we have some slow.
Deliberate.
We have some very deliberate competitors. Aaron's pretty quick, but I knew it had to be high scoring because I was only in frame 4 of game 3 and she came down and I just looked at her and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not a good sign.
Yeah, they were done like they had turned off the lights in the building.
Yeah.
That's how quick they got done.
I'm like, what'd you shoot? 660? Oh, I don't think that was enough. And we can't, one of the rules is that we can't use our phones.
Sure.
So normally I would have been checking her score at some point, just to see because we were opposite ends. But I had that gut feeling that 660 was probably not sniffing a win.
The interesting was, she looked like the first match. It was just on repeat.
Yeah.
Just shot after shot after shot after shot. All right, Lim with an open frame here in the 4th. It's go time here for Haley Richard after back-to-back opens for Bernice Lim. CDB and Katie Ann Sopp-Schroeder traded a few opens and now a 7-pin. Was that more of a, you think, an adjustment based on that 4-7-10 she may have left on the left lane, or something?
I'm not sure. I didn't really see where she slid, but the one thing that makes Carolyn so good when she's on top of it is where her hand's at the bottom. So, she doesn't have a ton of rotation on it. That's how she gets the ball to start just a little bit sooner. But as you move away from that, as your feet start to get further and further left, sometimes it's hard to get that ball to pick up and go through the pins right for me. So on that shot specifically, I don't know if she moved because I didn't pay attention to where she slid on the last one. But to me, it looked like she's starting to shape it just a little more than she was at the beginning of the match. And when it starts going a little more left to right, if she doesn't get around it just a touch, it has a hard time going through the pins. Especially because it's hard to see from here what ball exactly she's throwing, but it doesn't look super shiny to me. So the surface on the ball is also already helping it to start early.
Oh.
And that's the same kind of deal, right? Like that one was just kind of a nice, soft little trickle hit, but you could see it where it's starting to work a little early and kind of running out of juice at the end. Good shot by Haley.
Excellent shot there from Richard. Whoa.
Looks like Katie Ann switched balls.
Lost 3 opens here in this 3rd game, and so
all
that
splits, but this one's not, even though it doesn't have a circle around it, it is not the easiest spare to shoot at. And another split from Bernice. This one just got close.
at game 3. Again, that tension builds and just kind of keeps on building the drama.
And that was an interesting move by KDM because she had switched balls on the first shot, didn't throw it great, and I think you could tell by her body language. But like I said, the 3-9's a difficult spare on any sport pattern to pick. to begin with, but she went back to it on the spare shot, which to me is a pretty smart decision, because even though she may not have liked the ball reaction she had with it, she still understood what it was doing, where when you switch balls and now you're staring down something that you need, to use your reactive ball with, it could be intimidating.
Well, she stayed with the ball and has continued to move left as well.
And I think that's where you can see that the further left you get, it just looks like the pattern continues to get flatter and flatter. So I think it's going to be difficult for her these last couple of frames, because it's just hard to get it going in the right direction. And then as soon as you get after one and get it a little firm, it just completely shoots through it.
It'll be a big double coming up here for Ballard. CDB, 20-time PWBA titleist.
That one's a little straighter through the fronts. Picked up.
4-6-7.
And that's something that I noticed, at least for myself, going pair to pair, when I started to get into that funky transition where I was trying to move left because it was picking up, but my ball was not reading the lanes correctly, so I was leaving some of those light single pins or 210s, but then as soon as you get back on top of it, it checked so early that there was no way it was going to hold to the pocket. And so trying to find that in between, whether that's a ball change or a speed change as your feet got further left. For me, I can't really rotate the ball anymore because I'm already at like 84 degrees rotation or whatever it is they tell me, so that's not really an option for me. Ooh, Bernice.
Well, that stops a run of 3 consecutive opens that were splits, and so she takes care of the 7-pin. That was a 62-pin match coming into Game 3 with Bernice Slim leading the way.
Haley could make it really close here with a strike. It's got a hook. Oh, nice little left tap.
There haven't been a lot of those, but that's a huge double for Richard. Back to Ballard here, 27, left lane. That's a much better shot.
Yes, it is.
Tanya Raumemper went 215, 266. And she is going to advance in the event. She's going to defeat Jen Russo. It's over on 25 and 26. Richard trying to remain alive as well.
That's a good shot.
Solid pitch there, 10-pin for Haley.
See, I thought that was a better shot by Katie Ann, so I think what you and Summer were saying is probably correct. And like I said, the further left you get with that, I think the more magnified that becomes.
Big spare. Richard remains clean. Final round of competition today. We started at 9 a.m. this morning with left side of the bracket matches. And at 11:30, the right side first round matches took place. The winners of those matches came back to bowl on the Burn squad at 1:30. And then those who lost an early round match, that's interesting there.
Another split.
Of course, bowled just the round before this one at 4 p.m. Those who won a match and then lost during their winners bracket matches are now bowling, of course, here. So a good day of competition overall. But Bernice Lim has just lost a look here.
Well, and this is the interesting and hard thing about match play, because she did have a pretty substantial lead going into this last game, and it honestly mirrors what I went through in my last match, where you have two really solid games that you come out with and you're feeling pretty comfortable, and then your look starts to disappear, but you start playing that mind game of, all right, I had control of the pocket with this ball. Do I just tweak it just a little bit and play pocket until we run out of frames? Or do I make a bold decision and ball change where it could look like I'm a genius, I could Greek church on the next two shots, and so you play that mind game back and forth, and I don't know if there is a right answer, like I don't think mine was right down there. I ended up shooting 160, trying to make it work. But that's what makes it so different from qualifying, because in qualifying at this point you would just say it's time for a ball change.
Yep.
Like, this is what we're going to do. But when you start playing what I consider handicap, if I'm going into a game and you can tell me I'm bowling any of these competitors with 50 pins of handicap, I feel pretty good about it, but sometimes it just runs out.
Bernice's max score now is 181 this game. That would put her at 656 for the 3-game set. Haley working at max score of 239.
It's got a hook.
And that changes. Ballard, we're going to just go ahead and lock this one on up. Some good shots here late.
That's good.
And there it is.
To me, it looks like she's much more comfortable on the left lane as well, because at least watching from this angle, it looks like she's much straighter through the front part of the lane. Great spare by Haley.
She didn't see it.
And a pretty key time. But she looks much straighter through the lane on 27 than the shots that are getting to the pocket on 28. Katie Ann made a big move right. That one paid off.
Big match going on with Shannon O'Keefe and Kristen Nieder. It is on 35 and 36 for those who want to check it out.
Looks like Shannon had back-to-back opens.
Shannon trying to stave off elimination, the defending champion. Excellent shot from Richard in the 9th frame. So right now, max score for Haley Richard is 226. That would put her at 639. Bernice Lim, I mentioned earlier, can get to 181 this game. And Bernice now would be at, or Max, excuse me, at 656. Big shot there at the 9th.
Paid off.
That's a huge double. So simply put here, if Lim strikes on the first shot in the 10th, that would be enough.
What did you say Haley could get to?
Haley can get to total for 3 games 639 if she strikes out. Katie Ann stop shoots 164.
Looked a little in.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
That changes things.
Wow. It's interesting. I think on this pair, I don't remember which lane, but there was someone almost left that, but a weird kick, and both pins fell late.
Wow. There's been some weird carry this week. Things that went high and fell out. I had I don't even want to call it a paralyzed 5. I had a 5 pin that moved into like a 4.5-ish, 8 kind of location.
All right.
Haley's really taking her time.
Well, she needs the first hit.
Yep. And I'm sure she's thinking about that last shot where it got a little wide. And that'll be the key here for this shot. You know, like I said, she likes to be firm. And, you know, I think a lot of times you lean on the thing you're good at when you need a big shot. So as long as she doesn't allow it to get too firm here, should be okay.
Strike to advance. There it is.
Great shot.
Haley was runner-up last year in the Intercollegiate Singles Championships. Lost to Stephanie Schwartz.
Yep. It's so interesting watching her family. Her sister's sitting right next to us right now. But I was at that Intercollegiate Singles Championship, and her dad couldn't even sit inside the curtain, so I was sitting outside watching him and watching how into it they are. And I think all parents are, but you can just see the emotions on their faces whenever their kids bowl.
They were a pleasure to chat with, too. I talked to them writing a story about Jordan for this year's souvenir program, and learned a lot about the family in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, that they certainly love Haley and Jordan and all of their children as well.
It's a good shot. Good enough.
Last week we saw Haley embrace Jordan as soon as she won, and they shared some emotional tears this week.
They made me emotional. I was sitting in there with you.
Right.
I was crying.
It was emotional. And Jordan eliminated early, but now gets to be the support system for Haley this week as she looks to continue on in the event. 628 to 622, the final tally.
I'd be interested to ask them about that, if it was always that way. Because I know, like, I had a sister who competed for a long time up until here recently, and it was cutthroat. You remember when we were younger?
Yes, I do.
We did. That's all we wanted was to beat each other. As we grew older, that has changed, and now my sister doesn't miss a game that I bowl now. And my husband says he can't sit with her while he watches me bowl because they just, they're all so into it. But I'd be interested to know if they've always been like that. It's probably a little different. They're twins. My sister and I, we were about 2.5 years apart. So she just wanted nothing more than to strangle me when we bowled. So, that was her ultimate goal was to beat me.
Well, I think because I don't want to spoil it for us, I do think you should ask them about that, because I did learn a lot from both Jordan and her parents. The one thing that I did take away from
they also have an older sister that bowls.
Correct.
Yeah.
That I did take away was how different the two are. Certainly when they were young, and they still are to this day.
They are very different.
And some of the stories that her dad shared in regards to kind of how Haley might prepare and how Jordan might prepare were just priceless.
My mom would have similar stories for you,
I'll say one was Kenny mentioned if Haley's practicing and then right-handed, they're both right-handed, but she's practicing normally. Jordan would then go practice left-handed, just because. So
because they own centers too, correct?
Yeah. They've had a family center for I forgot the length of time, but
Yeah.
for several years, very similar to
Yeah.
yourself in that regard. Well, our featured matches, of course, are over. Carolyn Dorn-Ballard defeated Katie Ann Sopp-Schroeder 639 to 565. You just saw Haley Richard defeat Bernice Lim. A very, very tough break, difficult break to deal with for Bernice Lim in the 10th frame.
And I think you're going to continue to see this. You saw it earlier today, but, Bernice was, 75 over after 2 games and backed it up with 140 and really didn't throw it bad.
Yeah.
It's just when the lanes transition, they get a little confusing out there. And so that's not the first match that has gone like that. I don't think it'll be the last one from this week. So it'll be interesting to watch.
For those of you still watching, you can check out 31 and 32, 10th frame between Brittany Brown and Jennifer King.
It's a high-scoring match with Shannon O'Keefe and Kristen. Shannon prevailed 719 to 706.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that good folks in the chat were letting us know that one was coming down to the wire.
It's a lot of striking.
Kristen Nieder, good week for Kristen. We had her on during the last qualifying block. I know her from suburban Chicago. She is from the area there, competes all the time, and just chatting about the just the opportunity, obviously just to bowl, and she had planned to bowl a couple more events, at least certainly the U.S. Women's Open, and maybe something else on the schedule. But she shared a very interesting note about her first experience at the U.S. Women's Open in 1994.
Okay.
And it was, I think she bowled with or against Whitney McPherson, or cross with her, one or the other. And excellent experience, and that has stuck with her since that time. And then, of course, PWBA Hall of Fame was this week. And Kristen was here, got a chance to see it, and then talk to Wendy about that experience, kind of relive it. And I thought that was, one of those moments to where, you kind of win or lose, right? Whatever happens on the lanes, and some of the things you talked about with making, friends as far as building relationships, things like that really stay with you.
My first U.S. Open experience, I actually got to cross with Liz Johnson, and it was, I don't remember exactly what year, maybe it was 2011 when we were in Dallas and the scores were really high. And I'll never forget it because Liz led off that week, and or at least that day, and we both had the front 9 going into the 10th frame. And Liz got up in the 10th, and everyone's gathering around, and she big fours, and everybody goes, oh, shoot, she didn't do it. So she gets her 2, and I get up, and I still have the front 9. And I finish it. I shoot 300, and I turn around, and the only person clapping is my mother. I'm like, no one even paid attention to what I was doing. It was just all about Liz. It was a very humbling moment that I'll never forget.
That's a fantastic story. Thank God for moms.
Yeah.
That's interesting because my mother wouldn't have been nowhere in sight. She would have been trying to get as far away as she could in fear of not messing me up.
I must have been bowling okay that day because we always joke with my mother that she's super competitive, but she also gets really anxious. And so we joke when I was bowling youth events that at the first missed spare she'd get angry and leave for the mall. And so that's why my spare shooting got to be pretty good, was because I just didn't want my mom to leave and go to the mall.
That's hilarious. Let's see. We've got a few more winners. We've getting some good folks in the chat. Caroline Lagrange defeats Valerie Bercier in that was a Team Canada matchup right there, 693 to 590.
Erin doesn't want to be the last one done. She ran for her ball.
Did she really?
Yeah, she just wants to get it done because Tennille gives her a hard time all the time because she's actually a very fast bowler. But but for some reason, a couple of matches, she's been the last one done.
She's exclaiming too over there, like she was giving it the double fist pump. That's hilarious. Let's see. Erin McCarthy, by the way, did pick up a W over Heather DeRico, 602 to 470. Josie mentioned Shannon O'Keefe winning or defeating Kristen Nieder 719 to 706. Jasmine Mason shot 732 to defeat New Way Finn, who shot to 628. Diana Zavyalova in a rematch of the 2013 USBC Queens. Leanne Holsenberg 681 to 623. So DZ still alive. Caitlin Johnson defeats Natalie Cortez. So the senior to be at Weber International is advancing on in the event. Tanya Raumemper 696 to Jennifer Russo's 540. Juliana Franco 726 over Kayla Bandy, who shot 674. And it's still a close one.
There's a close one between Maria and Bree.
Angie Ramirez and Lindsay Boomershine as well. And then looks like Cote just finished with 646. So Rodriguez with 156 in the 8th, working on a strike.
Yeah, Angie will benefit from the spare in the 9th because I don't think that's totaled in yet with her score, where Lindsay had an open in the 9th. But I think Maria's going to need a strike here. Sounds like maybe a 10 pin.
Yeah, she hit the 1-3.
Yeah.
The reaction says 9.
So if she spares it, it's hard to know how these things total. It's hard to see from down here, but if she strikes, I think they could tie. Is that right? Yeah. She gets up on the spare pretty quick. A lot quicker than I would. She's confident. Woo.
You can hear the oohs from where we are down on 27 and 28. By the way, that match is on 15 and 16. And the other match is on 17 and 18. So that particular channel, lanes 15 through 18, is where the final action is happening here.
And Lindsay doubled in the 10th. I think if she gets this one, she'll be at 552. I believe, right? So it would force Angie to mark. She like it?
That was
All
10.
right, we got a tie.
Second one of the day. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. Putting Tennille to work.
Yeah. Good thing it wasn't last
She
night.
doesn't do enough of that.
Let me check in here with Bowl TV land. That's right, good folks, good people of Earth. Another tie on 15 and 16. So the tie situation again, very similar to normal sudden death roll-off rules.
Angie threw a great shot.
Excellent shot there for Angie. Higher seed with choice of lane. Rodriguez went first and buried a shot.
It.
All right, simply put there. Cote's got a match to move on to the next one.
We're in a position where you see how good you are at reading body language.
Yes. And of course, bowling sounds are very distinct. So you can kind of know when and what pin might have been left. Big double there for Angie, and she's going to move on.
Yeah.
All right, Cote. Strike two, sent to another sudden death roll-off.
She posted it.
Sounds like a 10 pin. And Bree's run, unfortunately, over a bit earlier
That's tough.
than she would have anticipated and wanted. Last
Do we
year
know,
she...
has that rule always been the same for the... Do you have any idea? Or
On the
sudden-
breaking the
sudden
tie?
death.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure, actually.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes round 2 of our
I just don't remember the last
elimination
time we had one,
bracket.
let alone 2 that I've seen.
Yeah, I don't ever remember. Like, since I've been here, I don't remember ever
Yeah.
seeing a tie in match
It makes
play.
it exciting.
And maybe because we didn't have 8 channels so.
Good night, everyone. Travel safe.
All right, well, that'll do it. That was ended up being a very eventful and interesting
Yeah.
round of matches. So
Thanks
let's.
for letting me come.
Oh, you're welcome. Let's quickly recap some of the matches that you will see tomorrow. Actually, let's just do them all while we have a chance. We know who won, and so my man, what a producer! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's start with the winners bracket. Brandy Branca, again, that 64th seed, will take on Dasha Kovalova. Daphne Tan will face Liz Culkin. These are all winners bracket matches I'm referring to at 9 a.m. tomorrow on The Fresh. Giselle Post, how about
Yeah.
that? How about her week?
She's been bowling great all
Coach.
week.
She will face Sherry Tan. Sherry, we're always tough. The tough lefty there. Of course, you will take on Verity Crawley. I'm very interested, by the way, specifically in that match. I just think
Thanks.
that's a really great match, and I would enjoy watching that one throughout. On the right side of the bracket, Danielle McEwen will face Clara Guerrero. Clara shot 300 today.
They've both been bowling fantastic, so that'll be a good matchup.
Stephanie Johnson will take on Shannon Puhalski, 2 of the longest tenured members of Team USA. Sin Lee Jane, we talked about her. This quadrant here is Malaysia-based.
Yeah.
Sin Lee Jane will face Shaolin Zulkifli, who also shot 300.
She did.
And then the winner of that match will face Esther Chia or Almin Guerra. And of course, if Esther wins, she's going to face a teammate.
Right.
And then they've got to face to get to an opportunity to make TV. So
that's an interesting bracket because Aaron and I were actually having the discussion looking at the standings through qualifying. We felt like the girls from Malaysia maybe should have scored a little better than they did, or we were surprised that they didn't score so high. And then as soon as it comes out of our mouth, they get to match play, and they just absolutely crush it. So they're back.
Yes, they are. And then our contenders bracket matches. Tanya Raumemper will face Carolyn Doran Ballard. Haley Richard will face Jennifer King. Caitlin Johnson will face Shannon O'Keefe. Aaron McCarthy will face Jasmine Mason. That's an interesting matchup.
That will be a good one.
They like to go a little left to right as well. I like that. Diana Zavyalova. Wait, is that right?
Yeah. Yep. Versus Caroline Lagrange.
Okay.
Correct? Yep.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, work on JT's.
We're reading his handwriting, guys.
And then we got to go with we got Laura Plazas. We'll take on Maria Jose Rodriguez. And then
Angie
Ramirez and Shannon Sellens, who got a victory here today also. And then Juliana Franco and Rebecca Whiting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Be sure to join us at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Josie Barnes will be on the lanes. We wish her good luck tomorrow and get a good night's sleep, dinner, and all that good stuff. And, folks, we will see you tomorrow then for Jason Thomas, Aaron Smith, Curtis Von Kruger, Tennille Milligan, Kathy Wadka, and Greg Moore, and everyone here at North Rock Lanes. We will see you tomorrow. My name is Emil Williams Jr. This has been a presentation of the 2019 USBC Queens on Bowl TV. Bowling lives here. Good night, folks.